A woman being submissive is a complete myth. I'll introduce you to my wife and to many other Jewish women. That's a complete myth. And it comes from a misunderstanding, which is similar to the misunderstanding of what humility is. Humility is not weakness. Humility actually is strength. Humility is a person who is very, very clear and agendaless to whatever it is that they're in the middle of doing. And because they are not bringing any agenda to it, they are clear to the true purpose of what they're doing. They bring full power and focus to what they're doing. There is no one more powerful than a humble person. So this has nothing to do with weakness. This has to do simply with every individual knowing who God designed me to be, and then stepping up in full commitment to that without any personal agenda. And that's where you see Jewish women, religious Jewish women, who are the most powerful people in the world because they know the power of their feminine energy, and they will bring that fully to everything that they do. Anyone that is married and tells you that they don't have arguments is straight out flat lying. It's impossible not to have arguments, number one. Number two is arguments are a blessing. Do you want to be married to someone who agrees with everything that you have to say? Absolutely not. In part, the reason why a man and a woman marry is because we get a completely different perspective. And that completely different perspective, with time, and as we are willing to embrace that different perspective, opens us up to a world of awareness that we never had before. So, should we be fighting? No. Should we be arguing? Absolutely. Embrace those arguments. The way we make sure to argue, but not to fight, is by not personalizing it and by not intending to hurt the other person. When we say words which are hurtful and intended to hurt the other person, we just turn the argument into a fight. When we can hear objectively and honestly and discuss the subject at hand, not the person, but the subject, then we have a beautiful argument and there is no fight. Now, this takes time for us to mature and develop. I'll say that I am still learning how to do this. By nature, we are very defensive. We have very delicate egos, and we start to personalize things very quickly. The more we practice not doing that, the more we can have arguments without fights, and the more we can get out of our marriage. Look, one of the most important things for every person is to be able to fully embrace who God made them to be. So we first have to acknowledge God designed me as a particular person. That is God's way of instructing me on who I should be in this world. If God made me a man, if God made me a woman, we have to embrace that. If God gave me this talent, God gave me that talent. This tells me who I am. This tells me what I am meant to do in this world. So it's very important to know who we are, accept who we are, embrace who we are, and we can be a very powerful person in the world. If we're not embracing who we are, we're always apologizing or not accepting, we will be a weak presence in whatever it is that we're doing. God created masculine energy and feminine energy, and that's before he created you and I, human beings, as men and women. Go into Home Depot and you'll know there's the masculine, there's the feminine, right? By the way, those parts in Home Depot that are called masculine and feminine are following what masculine and feminine actually are. So there's a way of being masculine, there's a way of being feminine. We have to learn what they are and know that this is what we contribute to the world. You know, what is it that I can give to my wife? It's the masculine energy that she craves. What is it that my wife can give me, which I don't have without her, is this feminine energy. It's not about what we do with our lives, whether we do have a job or we don't have a job, or we are the CEO or not the CEO. It's about the being that we are in relationship with another person. So whatever capacity we find ourselves in is secondary to who we are being and the energy we are offering in that capacity. One of the ways that God designed the world to function is that God created a spiritual reality, and the spiritual reality manifests itself physically. So what we see happening in the physical world is actually a physical manifestation or physical shadow of what's going on spiritually. So if I want to Now, we don't see the spiritual world as easily. We don't see our souls. We can't go to a doctor and take an x-ray. One of the ways that we know our soul is by knowing how things are manifesting physically. So one of the ways to know who we are and what the primary energy that we carry is by looking at who we are as a physical person. Now, for some people, that presents greater challenges than others. And we all have different inclinations that are driven by all different types of things within us. And we're all tested in different ways. But that doesn't change the truth that the way I am physically is an expression of the energy of my soul.